Hello, everyone. My name is David Hensley. Today I'm going to talk about the disturbing fact that the Moore County Board of Education is allowing the McDeeds Creek principal to serve a 12-month prison sentence while she is in charge of hundreds of children as the McDeeds Creek principal. Before I go into that, I want to say a few words about myself and my background. I'm a retired Marine Corps officer. I'm a serial entrepreneur. You all may be familiar with several of my companies. Quantico Tactical and Tactical Gear Distributors is two of the many companies that I have founded and I'm the CEO of. I'm a concerned citizen, and most importantly, I'm a father of two daughters in the Moore County school system. What I'm forced to talk about today does not make me happy. It's really a sad story of a principal who got into trouble. But the most important thing about this story and why I'm covering it is because it illustrates the continued poor decision making and cronyism of the current Moore County Board of Education and illustrates why I stepped up to run for your Board of Education. So let me share my screen and we'll get right into this. The lesson today, I decided to do this in whiteboard fashion since I'm running for the Board of Education. The questions that I'm going to cover today is, why is the Moore County Board of Education allowing an elementary school principal to serve her 12-month prison sentence as principal of McDeeds Creek? Yes, I said that right. The Moore County Board of Education is allowing the McDeeds Creek principal to serve a 12-month prison sentence while she is the principal of McDeeds Creek Elementary. The second question is, why doesn't the Moore County Board of Education understand the importance of role models, leadership, and accountability in our schools? And by the way, this is not a one-time deal. The Moore County Board of Education, as we're going to discover in the coming weeks, continues to make poor decision-making. And anyway, we'll cover that, and that'll be clear in the coming weeks. So here's a quick overview of what I'm going to talk about today. As I said earlier, the McDeeds Creek Elementary School principal is serving a 12-month jail sentence while principal. The current Moore County Board of Education not only kept the principal in place, but they renewed her contract for another year while these charges were pending. I feel, as everyone should, and the Board of Education should know, our children desperately need and deserve exceptional role models in their lives. That clearly escapes our Board of Education. Further, we need a Board of Education which will set and enforce standards and hold people accountable who fail to meet them, not make excuses. But keep in mind, this is the same Moore County Board of Education which has delivered us 5 D-rated schools, 10 C-rated schools, and not a single A-rated schools. You may not know this because the pilot doesn't report it, but the fact is Fayetteville, Cumberland County schools are higher rated than Moore County schools, and I find that unacceptable. So let's get right into what happened. On 28 April 2020, the principal of McDeeds Creek Elementary was arrested and charged with driving while intoxicated, 2 counts of child abuse, and several other charges. 2.5 weeks later, on 11 May 2020, with full knowledge of the pending charges, the Moore County Board of Education renewed the principal's contract for another year. That in itself is outrageous because any prudent board of directors, certainly a board of education, would have held off on renewing a contract until the legal issues were resolved. The principal very well may have been found guilty, in which case you renew her contract and you move on. But in this case, that's not what happened. On 8 July 2020, the principal was convicted and sentenced to 12 months in jail with 30 days credit for time served in confinement. Further, the principal surrendered her driver's license. That's an important fact, as you'll see later on. As of yesterday, 21 September 2020, the principal, Miss Capps, is still serving as principal of McDeeds Creek Elementary in your Moore County. Now, please keep in mind, This has got to be a horrible time in Miss Cap's life, and this is in no way to bash Miss Cap's. I wish the best for her and her family, but I mention her name only because her name was covered in both the Sand Hills Sentinel and the Pilot. And secondly, this has to be addressed because the Board of Education has absolutely failed in their fiduciary responsibility to ensure the integrity of the leadership of Moore County Schools. I'm not making this up. As you can see on the screen in front of you, here's the arrest document, and I have several parts of it highlighted. So first of all, you will see here that the offense occurred on April 28th, 2020. And here again, you see April 28th, 2020. And she was charged with misdemeanor child abuse, and somewhere in here is a DUI. So again, April 28th. And these are the charges that Miss Capps, the principal of McDeeds Creek Elementary School, was charged with. You will see driving while impaired, one charge of misdemeanor child abuse, another charge of misdemeanor child abuse, a charge of reckless driving to endanger, it's cut off. I don't know what she endangered, but there it is. And then failure to secure a passenger under age, whatever, 18. So those are her arrest documents, and these are the charging documents. By the way, all of these documents are publicly available documents from the Moore County Courthouse. Here's an article that ran on the Pilot on 14 May. And again, this is where they name the principal. So Molly Capps, principal of McDeeds Creek Elementary School, was arrested and charged by Pinehurst Police. She was charged with driving while intoxicated and child abuse. Now, the story continues to say that Moore County Schools confirmed that Capps is currently on leave. Okay, and then the story further states that this week, actually it was 11 May, the school board extended her contract by a year to June 30th, 2021. Again, the prudent thing to do, and what any reasonable board of directors or certainly the Board of Education should have done, is not renew her contract while she was facing DWI, 2 counts of child endangerment, and two other counts. On July 8th, Miss Capps, and this is the sentencing form from the Moore County Courthouse. Again, Miss Capps, the court right here. I'm going to change the color of this real quick since I did that in red. We will make this blue. Well, no, we'll make it purple. We'll make it purple for parents. So right here, the court orders that the defendant be imprisoned, right here, in prison. She was sentenced to prison for a minimum term of 12 months and a maximum term of 12 months. The next part's hard to see because it's covered by a stamp, man. Bureaucrats love their stamp. Some court clerks stamp this, right? But underneath this stamp, it says, the defendant shall be given credit for 30 days spent in confinement. Remember earlier when the Pilot reported that the Moore County Schools said that she was currently on leave? Well, draw your own conclusion. Now, I have to point out that although the principal of McDeeds Creek was sentenced to 12 months in prison, that her sentence was suspended. And you'll see it down below that her sentence was suspending, but keep in mind, a suspended sentence, she is still sentenced to prison pending 12 months of supervised probation. And you'll see the word supervised. And the court finally found that the court has received evidence and found as a fact that supervision is necessary. It is very, very unacceptable that McDeeds Creek Elementary School has a principal who requires this principal who is supervising hundreds and hundreds of children is herself being supervised by the Moore County court system. Again, highly unacceptable, should not be tolerated by the Board of Education. The next fact I want to present is that Miss Capps is not eligible to be principal. Per the Moore County School website, on the left side of the screen, I have the requirements to be a principal. And the requirements are long, so I cut it off because it wouldn't all fit on the screen. But as you can see, Moore County Schools principal, the principal must be able to operate a motor vehicle. Well, if you look on the right side of the screen, on July 8th of this year, Miss Capps, the principal of McDeeds Creek Elementary School, surrendered her driver's license to the Moore County court. So in fact, the principal of McDeeds Creek is not eligible per the job description to be the principal of McDeeds Creek. The reason that's important is I can't wait to hear the excuses from the current Moore County Board of Education. That's what they do best, man. They're like a random excuse generator. They make up more excuses than a PFC coming off late on liberty. I can't wait to hear the excuses, but one of the excuses that they'll say is, well, we're under contract and we cannot, fire her because we have a contract. Right here, when she surrendered her driver's license, she breached her contract. And I'm not going to let the Board of Education forget that. Neither should you. So why is the principal still around? Perhaps it could be political cronyism and professional courtesy. Let's take a look. Miss Capps' parents are Edward and Jackie Warner of Fayetteville, are her parents. Edward Warner, her father, is a former 9-term Democrat North Carolina State House representative. I'll say that again. Miss Capps' father, I believe, is Edward Warner, a former 9-term Democrat North Carolina State House representative. Her mother is the current mayor of Hope Mills, North Carolina, and a former principal in Cumberland County Schools. Isn't that convenient? Other people in Moore County Schools have been fired for getting DWIs, yet Miss Capps, the principal of McDeeds Creek, is kept around. Perhaps this helps explain why. When I'm on the board of directors, or board of education, will not put up with political cronyism and favoritism. So what conclusions can we draw from this? The Moore County Board of Education is, as you can see on the screen, allowing a Moore County principal to serve her prison sentence at work by holding her accountable for her actions. The Moore County Board of Education is forcing parents to entrust their children to a principal who's serving a 12-month jail sentence and supervised probation. That is sad. Once again, the Board of Education is displaying their inability to hold people accountable, and I will cover that in future videos. The Board of Education is providing poor role models for our children, and they're clearly showing favoritism and political cronyism. Highlighted on the bottom is something I want to discuss. The Moore County Board of Education supporters will have openly defended their decision to keep this principal on board and attack me for pointing it out. One has to wonder about their motivations. I want better schools, and we're going to do that by holding people accountable. For example, did you know that the 5 D-rated schools, most of the principals, if not all of them, have been there for 4 or 5 years? When I'm on the Board of Education, you're going to produce results, or we're going to find someone who will. You improve education by criticizing it. You improve things by increasing competition, and you improve things by having honest conversations about what's really going on and setting out plans to fix them, and then holding people accountable. So what are the motivations of the people who attack those who want to make reforms and improvements to Moore County schools? It really makes you think. We'll do a separate video on that in the coming weeks. Things are going to be different when I'm on the Board of Education. Let me say that again. Things are going to be different when I'm on the Moore County Board of Education. First of all, I'm not going to tolerate 5 D-rated schools and 10 C-rated schools and no A-rated schools. But let's look at the other things I'm going to do. When I'm on the Board of Education, there's going to be one standard for all people with no favoritism. I will set standards and I will ensure that they're enforced. I will hold people accountable for their actions. I will ensure that our children have leaders and role models, exceptional leaders and exceptional role models who set the example and whom the students, faculty, and staff can look up to and respect. And finally, I will produce results, not excuses. Thank you for watching this video. And again, my name's David Hensley, and I'm running for the Moore County Board of Education, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.